Hello, ladies, and welcome to the first video in my 5 Stages on Envy series, where I will be dissecting the topic of envy with real-life examples. Today, we're talking about comparison. Have you ever had a friend who suddenly started acting weird around you? Maybe they used to be super supportive, but now they seem a little distant, a little off. They don't say anything negative outright, but you can feel it. The energy has shifted. You can't quite put your finger on it, but something about the way they respond to your success just doesn't feel, right. That, my friend, might be the first sign of envy taking root. See, envy doesn't start with open hatred or public drama. It's not like someone just wakes up and decides to become your enemy. No, envy grows slowly like a weed. And it always begins with comparison. Comparison is natural. It's part of human nature. We all do it. We compare ourselves to others to gauge where we stand. But the real difference is in how people respond to that comparison. Some people see someone doing well and feel inspired. If they can do it, so can I. Others, however, see someone else's success as a direct threat to their own worth. Instead of using it as motivation, they start asking, why them and not me? And that's the moment the seed of envy is planted. In this video, I'm going to break down how comparison plants the first seed of envy, how you can spot it early in the people around you, and most importantly, how to protect yourself before it grows into something toxic. Before envy turns into shade, gossip, or full-blown betrayal, it starts as a quiet thought in someone's mind. Why do they have that? And I don't. This is where psychology plays a major role. See, humans are wired for social comparison. We naturally measure ourselves against others to figure out where we rank in society. This goes all the way back to our ancestors. Humans are social creatures, and historically, survival often depended on where we stood in the group. If someone else had more resources, power, or attention, it could mean the difference between thriving and being left behind. Fast forward to today, and that same instinct is still there. Psychologist Leon Festinger introduced the social comparison theory, which explains how people evaluate themselves by comparing to those around them. But here's where things get interesting. Not everyone reacts the same way to comparison. Some people use comparison as motivation. They see someone successful and think, wow, I want to work hard too. These are the people who get inspired by seeing others succeed because they believe that success is abundant. There's enough to go around for everyone, but others, they take it personally. Instead of being inspired, they feel threatened. They don't see success as something that can be shared. In their mind, if you're winning, that must mean they're losing. And that's when admiration starts to turn bitter. At first, they might have genuinely liked you, even cheered for you. But as they keep comparing their life to yours, a shift happens. They start focusing not on their own progress, but on what they feel they lack compared to you. They don't celebrate your wins anymore. They start resenting them. And that resentment, it festers. If left unchecked, it will evolve into something much worse. So how do you know when someone has entered this first stage of envy? What are the subtle but clear signs you should look out for? First, the subtle mood shift. Let's say you get a promotion at work, you ace an exam, or maybe you just post a picture looking amazing, and you notice something off. You text your friend or coworker to share the good news, and instead of excitement, you get a dry response like, oh, nice. No exclamation points, no enthusiasm, just a flat, uninterested reply. Now, let's be real. Sometimes people are just having a bad day. But if this is happening consistently, that's a red flag. Someone who used to hype you up suddenly seems distant. Their responses feel low energy, like they don't want to acknowledge your success. A big giveaway? Micro reactions. Watch for those small facial expressions before they recover and force a smile. If they hear your good news and their face tenses for a second before they say congratulations, that's an unspoken sign of resentment. Their words might say one thing, but their face, it tells the real story. Next, the competitive comments start at this stage. People start throwing out small, subtle one-upping statements. It might sound like, yeah, but honestly, that's not even that hard to do. I mean, if I really wanted to. It could do that too. That's cool, but did you see what I just got? These comments might seem innocent on the surface, but the real intention is to bring you back down. Instead of just celebrating your win, they feel the need to remind you that they're still in the game too. It's not just casual conversation. In their mind, they can't let you get ahead. So they compete subtly to level the playing field. You'll start to notice that whenever you share an accomplishment, they immediately shift the focus back to themselves. It's no longer a moment of celebration. It's a silent contest. Then there's the casual, backhanded compliments. This one is tricky because on the surface, it sounds like a compliment. But something about it just doesn't feel right. Some examples? Wow, you're really lucky. Some of us actually have to work for what we have. I could never wear that, but on you, I guess it works. You've really changed, but I mean, good for you. Backhanded compliments are envy in disguise. The person is trying to acknowledge your success, but they can't do it without adding a little sting. It's their way of bringing you down a notch while still pretending to be supportive. And if you call them out, they'll play innocent. Oh my gosh, I was just joking. But the truth is that comment was calculated. It was meant to make you feel uneasy about your success. It's like a small verbal jab. It won't knock you down, but you'll definitely feel it. One of the clearest signs that someone is starting to envy you is a sudden shift in their level of support. Think about this. When you first met this person, they were there for you. They liked your posts, they cheered you on, they celebrated your wins right alongside you. They were genuinely happy when you were thriving. But then something changed. Maybe you got a new job, started a new relationship, hit a big milestone in life, and all of a sudden, their support started to fade. At first, you might think, maybe they're just busy. Life gets hectic, right? But then you notice it's not just once or twice. It becomes a pattern. You post something exciting. No like, no comment. You announce good news. Radio silence. Meanwhile, they're still active online, engaging with other people's posts like normal, just not yours. This is where people show you who they really are. If someone is truly happy for you, they will celebrate your success, whether they're winning in life or not. But if someone is envious, they will pull back because your wins feel like losses to them at subtle at first. Maybe they stop reaching out as much. They start skipping your celebrations, avoiding conversations about your achievements, or responding in a way that feels forced, like they don't really want to acknowledge your success, but they know they're supposed to. You might hear things like, "Oh, that's cool. Wow, that's interesting," with zero excitement. I mean, I guess that's a big deal for some people. These phrases are dismissive. They don't outright say they're upset, but their tone gives them away. It's almost like they're choking on their own words, forcing themselves to acknowledge you because they don't want to look obvious. But the biggest tell? They'll start pretending they didn't see your success at all. You could post about something huge, maybe a career milestone, a major life event, or even something personal that means a lot to you. And they'll act like they never saw it, even though you can know they're always online. They might like and comment on other people's posts, but when it comes to yours, crickets. And if you bring it up, they'll say, "Oh, I must have missed it." But let's be real. They didn't miss it. They ignored it. And that, my friend, is a red flag. This is why I always say, pay attention to who claps for you when you win. Because the people who fall silent, those are the ones you need to watch. Now let's look at a pop culture example. Beyoncé and Kelly Rowland of the girls group Destiny's Child, this is a real-life example of how comparison can lead to envy, but in a way that actually got healed before it became toxic. Destiny's Child was one of the biggest girl groups of all time, and Beyoncé and Kelly were like sisters. But even in the closest friendships, comparison can creep in. Kelly Rowland admitted in an interview that for years, she struggled with comparing herself to Beyoncé. She felt like no matter what she did, people always saw her as Bey's backup. No matter how talented she was, no matter how much she accomplished, she was always in Beyoncé's shadow. And at one point, she started to resent it. She said that she found herself feeling envious, but also guilty about it. She loved Beyoncé, but she also felt like she wasn't good enough in comparison. She started doubting her own talent, wondering if she'd ever be recognized in her own right. But instead of letting it turn into jealousy and hate, Kelly dealt with it. She admitted how she felt, worked through her emotions, and found confidence in herself outside of Beyoncé's success. This is an important lesson because it shows that comparison doesn't have to turn into toxic envy. If someone is self-aware enough to recognize their own insecurities, they can heal. But if they don't, that's when comparison becomes resentment. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in the next video, stage 2, when admiration turns bitter. Because once envy moves from the silent comparison stage into actual resentment, that's when things start getting dangerous. So now you know, the first stage of envy starts with comparison. It may look small, but if left unchecked, it grows into something much worse. And in the next video, we're diving even deeper. Because once comparison turns into resentment, things start getting messy. So if you've ever had a friend or coworker go from subtly competitive to straight up bitter, yeah, you'll want to see that next episode. Hit the like button, subscribe, and let's keep leveling up.